Hello, I'm Get the Cans, and sometimes releasing documents isn't cool. On releasing documents, if you don't know, both Anonymous and Scientology release documents on each other. There is a difference, and before I state those differences, I would like to basically state why I'm making this current video and the inspiration for today's little chat. Well, I believe I read a comment. I'm not going to say where. It doesn't really matter because it's all over the place with the dialogue that's been going on. But basically, one of the things that the Scientologists like to say is that Anonymous are hypocrites because they get upset that when one of their individual members' information is released, they freak out, but yet they themselves release personal and private information upon Scientologists and Scientology, or the Church of Scientology's documents, their private documents. Now, the difference between the two, before we say whether or not that's even a legitimate comment, the difference, the whole core reason that the both sides do it is the deciding factor here. Let me get to the point. Basically, the Church of Scientology releases this information with the intent of causing harm. The identification of an individual that has nothing to do with Scientology, with the exception of their criticism, does not benefit the COS in any way. The only reason they release this information is basically to remove their anonymity. And with their long history of harassing critics, I'm pretty certain that that the only reason they do such a thing is basically to attack. Now, Anonymous, they gather information on individual Scientologists as well as document and release the private information of the COS itself. Now, in order to back up their claims of policies that break the law, they need to have these policies and they need to release them. It doesn't matter if they're copyright, because you can't make policies that break the law and then have that be okay. It doesn't make any sense, and we all live in a society of law. Whether we agree with it or not doesn't matter. The law stands. Another thing is that when we release the personal information of, say, a Scientologist, from my understanding, or at least from what I have seen, as far as I know, we are doing so to protect ourselves from those who may otherwise be complete strangers. Whether or not you know, Scientology has a habit of hiring private investigators to investigate Anonymous. So in order to prevent ourselves from being targeted by these private investigators easily, we need to document these investigators to make sure that we can at least recognize them, so that when we see them, we will know them for what they are. And I most certainly would not use this information in any bad way, aside from just simply going, oh, right, that's a Scientologist employee. I will be very careful around that person. It's a matter of protection. Scientology does it for attacking, and Anonymous does it for defending. So, it's really ridiculous to say that that Anonymous are a bunch of hypocrites because we release information and when they release information we freak out. Well, of course. We don't want to be attacked. We're not attacking you when we release your criminal policies on the internet. We are revealing information that the public and the government and all the authorities in charge of this whole country, and making sure that everything stays together in one piece, making sure that they understand what's going on. You shouldn't be allowed to have bad things that affect other people, in private. Like, it doesn't matter if you're doing something privately that only involves you and other willing members, but when you're doing things like, dragging other people into the organization and doing things like where you're slowly working on them psychologically or blackmailing them into giving you money, then, maybe you should be held a little responsible for the kind of policies that you put forward. It's not unreasonable. In all honesty, we all live in a state of reason, for the most part. But anyways, I think I've said enough about this subject, so it'll be the end of the video and the final words. The issue of whether or not to release documentation is not a debate. While personal privacy must be respected, we cannot allow anyone to abuse this privilege in order to hide criminal activities or other vile acts. The abuse would create dark corners from which the evil and corrupted would strike out against everything we care for.